laro.
Pwede mo ako husgahan bilang tao, pero hindi mo ako pwedeng husgahan bilang ina!
Ikaw ang una at huling
Hi, I'm Surmeon. Noli Tangere was inspired by Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel Uncle Tom's Cabin. Rizal proposed that the group would write a novel about Philippines during the regular reunion of Filipinos in Europe was held in a Paterno's residence on January 2, 1884, in Madrid. In their conversations, Rizal proposed that the group would write a novel about the Philippines. The Filipinos who approved it was Paterno, Graciano Lopez Haina, Evaristo Aguirre, Eduardo Delete, Julio Llorente, Milicio Figueroa, and Valentin Diaz. Those are the Filipinos who approved to write Rizal a novel about the Philippines. Jose Rizal was not discouraged by the failure. His determination to write a novel even grew stronger, and Rizal said that I did not believe that the Noli Tangere would ever be published when I was in Berlin. Broken-hearted, wicked, and discouraged from hunger and deprivation, I was in the point of throwing my work into fire as a thing accursed and fit only to die. But Maximo Viola loaned our hero with ample funds and gladly agreed to finance the printing of the Noli. Maximo Viola arrived and saw Rizal with shocks as he found him living in the poverty and probably sickly due to lack of proper nourishment. He loaned our national hero with ample funds and gladly agreed to finance the printing of the Noli, which amounted to 300 pesos. As Rizal's appreciation to the kindness of his friend, he gave the original manuscript of the novel together with the pen he used to write and complimentary print on March 29, 1887. Rizal wrote an inscription which read, "To my dear friend, Maximo Viola, the first to read and appreciate my work." Noli me tangere, in Latin phrase which means touch me not. It was admitted taken by the Rizal from the Bible and Gospel of St. Luke, but Zaide 2008 noted that the Rizal made a mistake as the Gospel signifying "do not touch me" was John 20:13-17.
So unlike most fictional literature, it was a true story of the Philippine condition during the last decades of Spanish rule. The places, characters, and the situations really existed. So now let us talk about the characters in Noli me Tangere. The characters were drawn by Rizal from persons who actually existed during his time, such as Maria Clara. So Rizal based the fictional character of Maria Clara from his real-life girlfriend Leonor Rivera. So Maria Clara symbolizes the purity and innocence of a sheltered native woman during the time of the Spanish occupation. Ibarra and Elias. Ibarra exemplified the vision that Jose Rizal had aimed for the youth of the Philippines during his time, while Elias is an outlaw and vagabond revolutionary who resents the power of the Catholic Church and Spanish government have over the Philippines. So Pilosopo Tasio, he is based on the person named Pasiano. So he portrays the role of a philosopher who has completely misunderstood in many aspects. He argues with the belief of the Catholic Church and social changes and concerns in the novel. Next is Padre Salvi. So, Padre Salvi was identified by the Rizalists as Padre Antonio Pernavija. So, he is a hated Agustinian friar in Cavite who was killed by the patriots during the revolution. So, Padre Salvi is a meticulous and cunning man who uses his religious stature for political influence, benefiting both himself and the church. Next is Kapitan Tiago. So he is based on Kapitan Hilario Sinico of San Nicolas. So he symbolizes the rich Filipinos who oppress their fellow Filipinos in exchange for the influence and the riches that they might gain from their powerful associations. So Kapitan Tiago, the former genial host and generous patron in the novel, became an opium addict and a human wreck in the end sa novel. So, next is Padre Damaso. So, he is a typical, domineering friar during the days of Rizal who was arrogant, immoral, and anti-Filipino. Next is Doña Victorina. So, Doña, he is based on Doña Agustina Medel. So, Doña Victorina symbolizes the colonial mentality that time. In the novel, Doña Victorina was someone that denied their own identity as Filipino. So this is what you call colonial mentality. For me, colonial mentality really influenced us for the longest time, and one very specific example that I can think of is our beauty standards. We think that foreign features like having pointy nose, being maputi is the thing, and that's why we have so many whitening products available in this country. But I'm happy that this generation is truly accepting its own skin, its own features. And not only that, we also have representations in foreign media. So, Sisa. Sisa represents the Inang Bayan or motherland who became an outcast because of the ill treatment of the Spaniards to the Filipinos. Next is Basilio and Crispin. So, Basilio and Crispin is based on the Crisostomo brothers of Hagonoy. The injustice they suffered under the hands of the authorities during their time were silenced by their deaths and the cover-ups that follow with it.
Rizal's anticipation with the Noli. As to be expected, Rizal's enemies condemned the Noli. Rizal anticipated the vitriolic attacks of his enemies who were sore to be told the truth of their evil ways. Blumentritt is Rizal's loyal friend and supporter, his teacher and advisor as well. As he told Blumentritt, the Vienna 2011, the government and the friars will probably attack the work, refuting my statements. But I trust in God of truth and in the persons who have actually seen our sufferings. Kapag nabasa mo ang Noli me Tangere, makikita doon na there is a public rebuke of government and injustices of the Catholic priest, in which the Church continued to oppose the bill mandating the reading of Rizal's novels Noli me Tangere and as well as Al Pili, claiming it would violate freedom of conscience and religion. Praises to Noli. Rizal's brilliance has pleased and impressed his contemporaries. His friends particularly hailed the novel, praising it in glowing colors. Blumentritt's greetings was most significant among them. He said, "First of all, accept my cordial congratulations for your beautiful novel about customs which interest me extraordinarily. Your work, as we Germans say, has been written with the blood of the heart, and so the heart also speaks." I continued reading it with much interest. I knew already that you were a man of extraordinary talents, but in spite of this, your work has exceeded my hopes, and I consider myself happy to have been honored with your friendship. Your people can also be called lucky for having you as son and a loyal patriot. You can become one of those great men who will exert a definite influence on the spiritual development of your people. I believe lahat ng sinabi ni Blumentritt about Rizal is definitely true because now Jose P. Rizal became one of our national hero and we are blessed to have him. Kung di dahil sa kanya, hindi natin malalaman ang mga pang-aabusong karanasan ng mga Pilipino sa kamay ng Espanyol. Please be reminded that Rizal's writing was created to fuel the growing nationalism that will help us Filipinos to break free from the shackles of abuse.
Juan Crisostomo Ibarra is a young Filipino who, after studying for 7 years in Europe, returned to his native land to find that his father, a wealthy landowner, has died in prison as the result of a quarrel with the parish curate, a Franciscan friar named Padre Damaso. Ibarra is engaged to a beautiful and accomplished girl, Maria Clara, the supposed daughter and only child of the rich Don Santiago de los Santos, commonly known as Capitan Tiago. Ibarra resolves to forego all quarrels and to work for the betterment of his people. To show his good intentions, he seeks to establish, at his own expense, a public school in his native town. He meets with ostensible support from all, especially Padre Damaso's successor, a young and gloomy Franciscan named Padre Salvi, for whom Maria Clara confesses to an instinctive dread. At the laying of the cornerstone for the new schoolhouse, a suspicious accident apparently aimed at Ibarra's life occurs, but the festivities proceed until the dinner, where Ibarra is grossly and wantonly insulted over the memory of his father by Fray Damaso. The young man loses control of himself and is about to kill the friar, who is saved by the intervention of Maria Clara. Ibarra is excommunicated, and Capitan Tiago, through his fear of the friars, is forced to break the engagement and agree to the marriage of Maria Clara with a young and inoffensive Spaniard named Padre Damaso. Obedient of her reputed father's command and influence, by her mysterious dread of Padre Salvi, Maria Clara consents to this arrangement, but becomes seriously ill, only to be saved by the medicines sent secretly by Ibarra.
Ibarra succeeds in having the excommunication removed, but before he can explain matters, an uprising against the civil guard is secretly brought about through agents of Padre Salve, and the leadership is subscribed to Ibarra to ruin him. He is warned by a mysterious friend, an outlaw called Elias, whose life he had accidentally saved, but desiring first to see Maria Clara, he refuses to make his escape. And when the outbreak page occurs, he is arrested as the instigator of it and thrown into prison in Manila. On the evening, when Capitan Tiago gives a ball in his Manila house to celebrate his supposed daughter's engagement, Ibarra makes his escape from prison and succeeds in seeing Maria Clara alone. He begins to reproach her because it is a letter to her before he went to Europe, which forms the basis of the charges against him. But she clears herself of treachery to him. The latter had been secured from her by false representation and exchanged for 2 others written by her mother just before her birth, which proved that Padre Damaso is her real father. These letters had been accidentally discovered in the convento by Padre Salve, who made use of them to intimidate the girl and get possession of Ibarra's letter, from which he forced others to incriminate the young man. She tells him that she will marry the young Spaniard, sacrificing herself thus to save her mother's name and Capitan Tiago's honor, and to prevent a public scandal, that she will always remain true to him.
Ibarra's escape had been effected by Elias, who conveys him in a bangka the Pasig to the lake, where they are so closely beset by the civil guard that Elias leaps into the water and draws the pursuers away from the boat in which Ibarra lies concealed. On Christmas Eve, at the tomb of the Ibarra in a gloomy wood, Elias appears wounded and dying. To find there a boy named Basilio beside the corpse of his mother, a poor woman who had been driven to insanity by her husband's neglect and abuses on the part of the civil guard. Her younger son, having page disappeared sometime before in the convento where he was a sacristan. Basilio, who is ignorant of Elias' identity, helps him to build a funeral pyre on which his corpse and the mad woman's are to be burned. Upon learning of the reported death of Ibarra in the chase on the lake, Maria Clara becomes disconsolate and begs her supposed godfather, Fray Damaso, to put her in a nunnery. Unconscious of her knowledge of their true relationship, the friar breaks down and confesses that all the trouble he has stirred up with the Ibarras has been to prevent her from marrying a native, which would condemn her and her children to the oppressed and enslaved class. He finally yields to her entreaties and she enters the nunnery of Santa Clara, to which Padre Salve is soon assigned in a ministerial capacity. And that's the end of our report. Hope you guys have learned a lot from us. Thank you and
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye!